So I apologize for the delay, everyone. I was having some technical difficulties. I'm in rural California leading at a retreat, and there was some problems with the Wi-Fi connection. So I am back and I'm here and thrilled to be present with all of you. For those of you who are participating, if you can just um, type into the message just a little about who you are and what you do for a living, just to get a context for how we're having this conversation about your why. I'm specifically talking about elevator pitches and how do you create a powerful elevator pitch about your business, okay? So that would also help tailor it, and my goal is that all of you have an opportunity to have crafted a useful elevator pitch by the time that this workshop finishes, okay? So, so I know we have George and Anastasia. Is there anyone else who is participating? Anastasia, you're a senior compliance analyst at a cybersecurity compliance firm in San Francisco. Awesome. And Anastasia, I think you were here last week. Is that true? Awesome. Well, welcome. Great to have you. And then George, you're also present. And you may be typing away. And I think you may have also received a sheet you're a serial entrepreneur from Ottawa, Canada. Awesome. I love serial entrepreneurship. It's in the blood. So for those of you for the two of you and for those of you who will be watching afterwards, what I really want to, when you think about an elevator pitch, so Anastasia, you have to speak to your company meeting this Friday, so you're hoping this will help boost your confidence as you prep. Okay, awesome. Really, really great. What is your experience when you think of an elevator pitch, or when you think about having to elevator pitch, or you think about networking? There's like an experience that you have already about the occurrence of it. So what's already there for you about the opportunity to elevator pitch, or thinking that you have to elevator pitch? Like, what's already there for you about it? And I can share a little bit from me. For me, like, especially when I started my entrepreneurship journey, like it felt like I had to get it right, or uh, or there was like a special way to do it and I didn't know how to do it, or there was a little bit of fear, or this gong show type of situation that if I like it would start, and then I was like, do they still have me? Are they still following me? But there was like, the experience was definitely around not getting it right. So George, you'd like to try and create value quickly for the listener. Awesome, really great. And there's something really powerful about being able to encapsulate your main idea for your business in a very concise way so that you can share about it powerfully, right? Okay, awesome. So for me, in my experience, I was very moved by TED Talk. And the TED Talk is by a man named Simon Sinek, and it's called Leading with the Why. And the whole point of the TED Talk is that as human beings, we tend to lead with what we do, then how it's important, and then why we do it. I'm an entrepreneur, or I'm in compliance, or I'm an attorney, or I'm in finance, but we're focusing on what we are doing as opposed to what it is that we believe, right? What is our commitment? And what he does is, I'm going to do some very rudimentary drawing here, but he talks about, there are four main emotions that we have as human beings, okay? So when we think about being a human being and our four emotions, what do you imagine that our four emotions are? So for Anastasia and George, who are here, I'm going to do the little Jeopardy song again, and my invitation is for you to write down what you think the four basic emotions are that we have as human beings. Da 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 ba da da ba da 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 bum ba da 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 bum ba da dum bum 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 ba dum bum 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 bum. Awesome. So Anastasia, you wrote anger, fear, sadness, and happiness. Ding 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 ding. Yay! Round of applause for Anastasia. So it's anger, fear, sadness, joy. And we'll say happiness is part of that, right? But the four main emotions that we have as human beings, right? And when we're speaking to human beings, we forget that we speak to human beings. When we're speaking about our businesses, like we forget the humanity part of it. You know, we may thinking I'm thinking of you as a client, or I'm thinking of you as something that or a funder. You know, but we're not attempting to connect to the human level. And what we're trying to create in this new way of pitching, right, is how do I connect to the human being in a profound way that has to do with something deeper than their mind. Okay, so what Simon Sinek talks about is that there are three levels to the brain, and you're going to forgive my rudimentary drawing that I have over here, right? And the outside part of it, we're going to call the neocortex. Okay, so that's this part outside. Then we have the limbic brain, which is in the middle. And then we have the reptilian brain, okay, so notice if you take out the PDF we send to you the email, please let us know if you haven't received it. But there's a PDF that has these three circles that say why, how, and what. Actually, why, how, and then what. Okay? So if you think about our human brain, the neocortex is the most recent part of our human brain. And it's the part of our brain that is where words and language live. Okay, so like our speaking exists in the neocortex. It's a later part of our brain formation as a species. Okay, and Raul, thank you for accessing or sending the PDF so that we can have that on the call. Now, our earlier brains, right, is the limbic and the reptilian. So in the limbic brain is where we have our emotions. So our four emotions of anger, fear, sadness, and happiness will exist in this space. And in the reptilian part of our brain is where instinct lies. That's where our instinct is, okay? So what we're going to look at is when we're communicating with people, when you're communicating with what it is that you do, where I'm living is in your reptilian brain, in the neocortex. Now, if you're leading instead with why and how you do something, what you're speaking to is the limbic brain and the reptilian brain. So we're going somewhere deeper than the brain, than the outside part of the brain, and connecting deeper to our emotions, our thoughts, and our emotions and our instincts, as opposed to just our thoughts. So how are we communicating in a way that lands with our audience, our listener, in a way that's profound and connected and deep? Now, when you're speaking, you're not speaking to a broad audience. You're speaking to one human being, eliciting a response that if they're connected to your why, right, then that's who you want to be speaking to, right? Not to a broad and general audience, but people who are connected to and inspired by your why, okay? So again, we have this reptilian, limbic, and neocortex as far as our brain. Now, what do you notice about the emotions that we have, right? So there's anger, fear, sadness, and happiness. So what do you notice about those four emotions? And again, for George and Anastasia, if you notice anything, and think about those four emotions, what are you noticing about the feeling of those four emotions? They absolutely elicit a physical response, 100%. Now, if you were to think in terms of positive and negative, right, and I know that's an arbitrary description, but what do you notice about anger, fear, sadness, and happiness? So if you're looking at anger, fear, sadness, and happiness as a context, right? If you notice, like three negative and one that is positive, right? So you would say that anger, fear, and sadness are probably on the negative protective side, and the happiness is like the open positive side, okay? So as human beings, we're inherently protective, right? We're inherently discerning. We're inherently protecting ourselves, right? So where do we open and create the opening in a space for that happiness and joy to connect? Because in that space, there's going to be possibility and an opening, okay? So my invitation for you as we move into this next part of the conversation, we start mapping out an elevator pitch for yourself in this framework of the why, the how, and the what I want you to think about is what you do. Okay, so I want you to think about all the things that you do as a what. Okay, now there may be many things to your what, and I invite you to type them in on the side, and I'm going to share some of the things for myself, so I'll go through this too. Right, so I'm Eduardo, right? I'm a social entrepreneur. I also, so I'm going to even write some of these down. So I'm a social entrepreneur. I lead workshops. I do business workshops. I do marketing for my business. I do sales for my business. I'm also a global community builder. I'm an artist. I'm an activist. Right, so there's all these things that I do. So my invitation for you, George and Anastasia, is to write down what it is that you do and what it is that you do in your job, right? So so for George, you're a serial entrepreneur. Is there a specific entrepreneurship project that you're thinking about now, that you're working on right now? And again, my invitation is to share so that we can start working on crafting on something together, right? So I share that what I do in my business, I'm a social entrepreneur. I lead workshops for individuals. I have a private coaching practice. I do marketing, sales. I'm a global community builder. I'm an artist. I'm an activist. And I'm a private coach. So it gives you the world of all the things that I do, which is useful, right? So for Anastasia and George and anyone who is on, again, I invite you to just type in on the message chat, what are the things that you do? So this is like some one-on-one coaching that we're going to be giving you on the crafting of an elevator pitch. Okay, so for Anastasia, you conduct risk assessments, you conduct vendor due diligence, write up policies and procedures. You heard the cats that are your colleagues. I love that. You attend for network education, and then you also mentor. Awesome. George, you develop a property sports dome. Awesome. What is a property sports dome? So is that like a dome that will contain like a like multiple different sporting ventures, or is it like a sports dome that includes like for an aquatic center or a or tennis courts or like things that make it weatherproof? Oh, okay, great. So it's like a dome for like outdoor sports like lacrosse or soccer, so that it battles the so in any element there's a dome that will protect the field so that the sport will go on. Is that the world of what it is that you do? Okay, great, awesome. I love that. I'm a huge soccer fan. I don't know what your soccer team is. I'm Real Madrid. I hope that does not create some conflict with the two of us. Okay, great. Or you, Anastasia. So so really great. So my question for you, George, is in your space that so you develop a property sports dome, right? Now, in the developing of the sports dome, are you also a fundraiser? Are you the CEO of the startup? What is the role that you have in the execution of this vision? So do you do sales, or do you do marketing? You're a project manager. So you're a project manager for the sports dome company. Is there a name for this property sports dome product? You're also an investor. So you're an investor, you're a project manager. And then do you have what is the name of the company? No name yet. Okay, cool. Awesome. So you're like an early stage. This is an early stage project. Awesome. And then for Anastasia, like so you're in, you conduct risk assessments. Now, do you have a title for your job? Is there a specific title for your job in a company that you can add there just so that we get the world of it? Because, I mean, you will want to share that. You're a senior compliance analyst, and the company that you work for is And we'll keep this obviously confidential within the context of this Cobaltics compliance. Okay, great, awesome. So now, okay, so that gives you like a world of what it is that you do, which is really useful. And sometimes when I make this list, like I forget about all the myriad things that I do, right? So first of all, it's a great pat on the back. Just be like, look at that. Wow, there's a lot that I do. And we tend to be in a focus not of all that we do, but where we're lacking in what we're doing, right? So, so that's always, I think, a really useful practice. And now I'm going to actually type in, hold on one second. There is an assessment that I recommend that everybody take. And I'm going to put it here on the link. And it's called the VIA Character Strength Test. And it's from my alma mater. I went to the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, and I majored in English as an undergrad, and they have a school of positive psychology. And we're talking about most psychology was built to measure what was wrong with us as human beings. And positive psychology exists as an opportunity to look at what's positive and what's working as human beings, okay? So I highly recommend after this is over that you guys take the viacharacter.org test, all of you, because it tells you what your core strengths are. And what they do is you take the test on a list of 1 to 24, it rates them for you. And what it looks at is how human beings can all agree that these 24 things are good, right? To this how conversation, there's a unique way in which you show up to any project that you do, okay? So what I want you to think about is how is it that you show up to do what it is that you do that is different, okay? So what is the way in which you or your team is solving the problem, maybe for this sports dome? Like, what's a unique way in which you are looking at solving the problem of building the sports dome, right? Or for you, Anastasia, like how is it that you are different from everyone else that shows up to do that line of work, okay? So for me, like what I always show up is authentic, vulnerable, and powerful in how I show up to lead in what I do. So there's authenticity, there's vulnerability, there's power, right? And what I do as a public speaking coach is I work at the intersection of mind, body, and voice so that leaders speak from a place of fear, from a place of power and not from a place of panic. Okay? So what I do that's different than anyone else that does public speaking training is that what I do is I'm looking at a holistic conversation. I'm looking at mind, I'm looking at body, I'm looking at voice. Okay? So how I do it, voice, Sinek. Okay, so that's how I do my work differently. Okay, so my invitation is for you to think about for yourself and type in, and as you're working something out, again, type it in, and let's see what it is that you can come up with, and we can help to tweak it a little bit. So for Anastasia, how is it that you show up differently to do your work? And same thing with you, George. So feel free to write in. And Raul, if you feel like participating, by all means, feel to, to add to the mix. Awesome. So Anastasia, beautiful. So you're confident and reassuring. Awesome, which is really great quality when you're talking about risk assessments, right? Awesome. So tenacious, humble, and authentic. Okay, really great, George. Awesome. Now, what is the unique way in which you're looking to solve? So you're building these property sports domes. Is there a unique technology, or is there a unique way in which you and your team are showing up to solve that problem? What's the unique way? These qualities are awesome, by the way. And Anastasia, like you're bringing confidence and you're reassuring. So you're bringing a level of humanity to this process, right? So what is it? So if you look a little deeper, how do you craft a sentence around how it is that you show up to do your job different? And so I'm doing the work with you guys. So I'm crafting this as I'm speaking to you, because again, your elevator pitch is not just it's not a one-time, you write it, you nail it, and then you share the same thing over and over again. It's a living and a breathing thing, and the ultimate tool is that it's something that lives in the sharing of it with other people, right? So it's like you test it out on other people, and then you start landing on, oh, okay, wow, this is important. This really resonated with this person. Okay. So Anastasia, so you wrote again, you're confident and reassuring. So George, you wrote tenacious, humble, and authentic. So I get that very clearly about like what are the qualities that you're bringing to the table, like in the way that I said that I lead with authenticity and vulnerability, right? So authenticity, vulnerability, compassion, generosity, right? So these are these qualities, right? And then I'm working at the mind, body, and voice so that leaders speak from a place of power and not from a place of panic. So what is like the unique expression, the unique tool that you have, or unique way of approaching the problem that has you, that's a how that's different than anybody else? Okay. Or maybe don't think about how it's different than anybody else. How is it that you do it? Right. And trusting that the perfect confluence of your self-expression and your unique skill set is inherently different from other people. So it's like kind of differentiating yourself from other people. Okay. Um, okay, great. So Anastasia says you're going to be right back. You have a generic pitch already that you want to pull so you can tweak to get to the specificity that you're guiding us through. Okay, great. So thank you for that, Anastasia. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next part of the conversation, which is the why. Okay, and this is sometimes like the harder conversation, right? Which is, why is it that you do what you do? So what is it that you believe about your product, your business? Like, what is the why? What has you wake up every morning and say, this is what I want to do? Like, this is who I am. This is what I'm committed to. Okay. So, and that, like, you really want to listen to your gut. You really want to listen in a profound way to some steering, guiding principle that you have for yourself that's going to have you connect to someone who has a similar why. So what you're aiming for is a why that person who you're speaking to believes the same thing that you do. Okay. And the moment that you connect to that, the listening that they have for you shifts, because you're connecting to something that you believe as opposed to something that they think that they may need, like the what. Well, I don't need an entrepreneur. I don't need that. As opposed to, wow, I believe that. Now I'm listening in a different way. So instead of dismissing you, now they're stepping into a space of possibility where they're listening. One, they may be that, or they may know someone who they can connect you to. But again, we're speaking to a greater conversation of why. Okay. So I know that Anastasia stepped away for a second. So for George, why do you do what you do? Awesome. So a better quality of life for your community and your family. Awesome. So now what is the quality of life for your community? And this is really, really great. So your why, the reason why you do what you do is because you want a better quality of life for yourself, for your community, and for your family. That's beautiful. That's really aspirational. And just like, I totally get that. And as a serial entrepreneur, I get you as somebody who is like, constantly innovating and creating in that space to create a better quality of life for your community and your family. So what is possible? So why a property sports dome? Like, why a sports dome that will protect athletes from the elements? Like, what's possible in that space? Like, why that? Why is that something that to get excited about? Like, why that for you? Thing to can explore. So like, type whatever it is that's coming to your mind, and you can free think about it. Okay. So for me, like what I believe, like why I do what I do is because I believe that everyone has a voice, and now is the time to share it. Or I believe everyone has a story, and now is the moment to share it. Right? Like I wake up in the morning and I'm committed to hearing these voices, and hearing stories. Right? And I do everything that I can in the in my life to amplify those voices and amplify those stories. Okay? So that's what I believe. right? And when I share that with people, people are like, oh my God, I believe that too, right? So think about what is a statement that you can come up with that has to do with that. Okay, awesome. So Anastasia, you're back. Welcome back. So the traits that you have is that you're a catalyst. Passion and innovation are your strengths. You have a passion for educating people about cybersecurity risk and how they can protect themselves. You have a knack for troubleshooting. You're constantly asking questions about why something is done a particular way in order to suss out if there's another way it can be done that is more efficient or more secure. Anastasia, you're a rock star. I love all of that. Okay, so now this is all really great. So this is awesome as like your how, okay? Now my question is, why do you do what you do? So what is it that you believe about the world? What do you believe about your experience? What do you believe about what you solve? Like why do you show up every day to do what it is that you do? And get that it doesn't have to do about you necessarily. It doesn't have to do about like I want more money or I want a nice car, or like that's not inspiring. Right? Again, what we're looking at is why you do what you do that is in service of other people. Like what is that you believe, like as a core belief, right, that can connect us to something greater. Okay, so why are you a senior compliance analyst? Like what is it you believe about cybersecurity? Like what's possible with cybersecurity? Okay. And for George, okay, so so you believe that nothing is 100% secure and you want people to understand their options. Okay, great. Awesome. So nothing is 100% secure and you're committed that people understand their options. So that's what you believe. Believe that nothing is 100% secure and what happens if people understand their options? And I'm imagining over here that George and Anastasia, you're furiously typing and, and writing and doing the active thinking. And again, the thing that I'd love to share, first, I acknowledge you for really doing the work on this call, because I could lecture about elevator pitching for 45 minutes and that's not useful. Like again, my commitment is that you actually have something practical that you can use and try and share right away, right? So I get that I'm being videotaped right now and you guys are furiously typing and engaged. And this is the whole point of this, is to be a contribution to you. I will take questions very shortly about how to elevator pitch and then all that, and then where to and how to practice. Okay, so great. So while nothing is 100% secure, I want to help people understand their options. In general, the people I come across think that they are not a target for hack. Well, okay, so maybe the why is there, that nothing is 100% secure and we're all vulnerable to hacking. Do you believe that? So what I hear in what you just typed is nothing's 100% secure and we're all vulnerable to a hack and everyone should be prepared. Is that true? You can type yes or no. So you educate them that while their account may not be an admin account, their account could lead to access to admin accounts. Right. So like No, I totally get it, Anastasia. We're doing a little bit of this at the same, like, I don't know if you saw that I was like tapping my head and doing that all at the same time. Um, yeah, it's a great exercise to be concise, right? So notice that there's something like you said that nothing's 100% secure. So again, the belief is that if we start talking about accounts and admin and all that stuff, we're getting into the weeds, and that's a detail that we don't need to talk about. But you're creating a little wow at the beginning, right? Like a thought that's just like wow, like I believe that, right? I know you don't want to be stuck in the weeds. I totally get it. And the thing, frankly, with tech and cybersecurity, we can get into the spiral of that, right? So looking at that, do you believe that nothing is 100% secure, and uh, and we're committed to protecting people from a hack, clients from a hack? Okay, great, awesome. So get that that's a different. So what I'm going to write down. So I'm committed. So while nothing is 100% secure, we are committed to protecting everyone from a cybersecurity hack. Is that what it is? Okay, great. So while nothing is 100% secure, we're committed to protecting everyone from a cybersecurity hack. Now, I would say you are individually committed, right? Would I say, would that be true about you? So I'm gonna assert that you yourself are committed to protecting everyone. Yes, educating me about the tools they need to make it happen. I don't actually make it happen. Does that make sense? Yeah, totally. So like, while nothing is 100% secure, I'm committed to educating everyone to protect themselves from cybersecurity hacks. Does that resonate more with you, Anastasia? Okay, great, awesome. So get that that's what you're committed. So you believe that nothing is 100% secure, and you're committed to educating everyone so they're protected from a cybersecurity hack. Is that another yes? So I said nothing is 100% secure. I'm committed to educating everyone to protect themselves from a cybersecurity hack, or so they're protected from a cybersecurity hack. Okay, great, awesome. So get that that's your why. So that you would lead with that type of statement as like a wow, like nothing's 100% secure, and I'm committed that everyone be educated to protect themselves from a cybersecurity hack. Okay, so then that's your why. So then what you would do is then talk about how it is that you do it that's different. So if we were to follow the structure, and I'm going to go back up to what you wrote, and George, I'm assuming that you're still here and also doing some of this work for yourself. Awesome. So thank you for hanging in. Anastasia, thank you for like being the guinea pig here as we like track you through this conversation, right? So for Anastasia, um, how you do it that's differently, right, is so you're a catalyst. I'm a catalyst that's constantly asking questions about why something is done to suss so that it's more efficient and more secure. Okay, so I'm like piecing out through what you have here, right? So, and George, thank you for adding. So you help kids stay active by offering a comfortable space out of harsh weather conditions to play team sports. Awesome, I really love that. So I believe it's important that kids stay active all year long. Okay, so do you get that that's different, George? I'm jumping between the two of you, but for George, I believe it's important for kids to stay active all year long. You know, and then how we do it is by creating a comfortable space out of harsh weather conditions for kids to play team sports. Okay, so that's your why and your how combined together. Do you see how that's clear and solidified? Really great job, George. Thank you for sticking in with this. Okay, awesome. I'm going to give you guys high fives. This is my virtual high five move. So if you see me in your screen, I invite you to high five with me as I'm multi-high-fiving you. So what you wrote, right, is so I love catalyst. I think catalyst is hot. It's a great word. So I'm a catalyst. Uh, I'm a catalyst who's constantly asking questions about why something is done to suss out if there's another way that can be more or more secure. Okay, so so my invitation is for you to craft that right again. So the word, so the catalyst is something that rings true. So I'm a catalyst, somebody asking questions about why something is done, to suss out if there's another way it can be done that is more efficient or more secure. So I get you for someone who's like always on the hunt, you know, for and most secure way to do something, and like you're unstoppable in making that happen. Okay. So that's your why, and then that's your how. And the last thing that you do is what it is that you do. Right? So you have the why, you have the how, and then the last piece is what it is that you do. So for George, right? I'm a serial entrepreneur who is an investor and project manager. This new project that that doesn't have a name right now, right? But then it's like what it is that you do, and maybe something catchy about the vision of the product. Okay, so for Anastasia, senior compliance analyst at Cobalt X Compliance, I don't know if you have like a catchphrase for your business, but sometimes that's useful to add there. You know, or maybe always ensuring that. That's always protecting all of us from cybersecurity risks, right? So that you can protect yourself, or something that would like tie it in at the end. Okay, so for me, like if I'm following this why, how, and the what model, so I believe that everyone has a voice, and now is the moment to share it. And with authenticity and vulnerability and power, I work with leaders so they share from a place. I work with leaders at the intersection of mind, body, and voice, so they speak from a place of power and not from a place of panic. As CEO and founder of Fearless Communicators, I'm a social entrepreneur and global communicator committed to make a difference. Or what I wrote down, as CEO and founder of Fearless Communicators, I'm committed to make a difference with those who are amplifying their voice stories to create a better world. So there's a way in which the what it is that I do. At the last piece is like, like the job, and like where you're already listening from is what my commitment is. So what my why is, right? Which is that I believe that everyone has a voice, and everyone has a story, and now is the moment to share it. Okay, so my invitation is for you to type out in this framework for yourself. And then what I'll do is I'll just read it back to you, kind of in the way that I model it out for you guys. Okay, so again, I acknowledge you for doing the due diligence and the work here. And I'm really, again, committed that you walk away with an actually practical, a practical pitch that you can actually then use to share. Okay, so I know you're kind of speaking out loud and typing furiously while you're here. So for George, you're committed to stay active, offer a comfortable space out of harsh weather conditions so kids can play team sports. Now you're a serial entrepreneur and project manager, and then there's like a little button at the end. So let's try to figure out what that is for you. So again, my invitation is, and I know that you're tip typing here as we're piecing it all together, and I'm going to wait here as you and share what you've drafted. Okay, Anastasia, awesome. Great. I continually ask questions about your data to determine if it's being protected properly or if there's a better way to do it. Awesome. Now, what is it that you do? Okay, great. So get that this last part, I thank you for sharing that. So the generic one that you have is Cobalt Compliance is an information security compliance firm based in San Francisco. Um, yeah, it was formed out of a market need to address regulatory compliance from a security and technology perspective. Your main focus areas are assessing risk, vendor due diligence, vulnerability assessments, and penetration tests, and assistance in writing audit policies and procedures. You tend to work with firms in a regulated space such as SEC, FINRA, or okay, great, awesome. So notice that all of that is language. So if you were to recite that, right, you just be like, oh, what is all of that? So what I think is really great here is to say, as a senior compliance officer, and I may have butchered your title, but I'm thinking on multiple spheres right here. But whatever your title is, for Cobaltix Compliance, which is an information security compliance firm based in Seattle, period. Okay, so I would just like period there and look at your why and your how. So, and I think what's missing is I think that you believe. So I believe that everyone is. I believe that 100%. What is it? That nothing is 100% secure, and we're committed to protecting everyone from a cybersecurity attack, or to educating people about the security hacks. I'm a catalyst with a passion for security, continually asking questions about your data to determine if it's being protected properly or if there's a better way to do it. As a senior compliance officer for Cobaltix Compliance, we're an information. So I am a senior compliance officer for Cobaltix Compliance, which is an information security compliance firm based in San Francisco. Uh, okay, great. So George, you're a serial entrepreneur, investor, and project manager that believes kids should stay active all year long. We offer comfortable spaces out of harsh weather conditions so kids can play affordable team sports. Okay, great. So what I would do, so notice that you're leading with what it is that you do. So this is really great. So I believe kids should stay active all year long, right? And we offer comfortable spaces out of harsh weather conditions so kids can play affordable team sports. I'm a serial entrepreneur, investor, and project manager, committed that everyone in my community, I'm committed that everyone in my community, committed to making a difference in my community. Or like maybe there's like what's possible with these kids if they have committed to bringing joy and a spirit of teamwork in my community. Like there's something like aspirational that comes out of affordable team sports that is why you do that. That's also connected to that you do. Okay, so there's like a little, I'm going to call that the button, which is the ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, bum, pa, the little button that happens at the end, that I think will work. Great job, George. I love the idea. I'm so enrolled in it. Like I'm all about affordable team sports for kids in harsh weather conditions, and like what kids learn by playing team sports, right? So there's something really powerful about that that I think would resonate true. So George, I really acknowledge you for doing that work. That's fantastic. And Anastasia, I totally have you also as someone like who's a huge advocate for cybersecurity, and it's only going to get worse. So like we're only going to become more and more hackable as that becomes the place where attacks are happening, right? So Anastasia, again, so let's see, I get that you're furiously typing. George, I invite you to make a little tweak to that assessment, and let's see where we land. Okay. And Raul, I'm inviting you to also listen. and be drafting and creating one for yourself. I don't know if you guys know Raul, but he's amazing. He's the one who's supporting us on the back end of this, and he's an absolute joy to work with, and is really doing a lot to ensure. Raul in the comments section too for being so awesome. Hi, Raul. Okay, so let's see if anyone has something else to share here. And I know that we're winding down our time together. So all I also love to do is keep a couple minutes about about networking, where to share the elevator pitch, mindset conversations around how to share it, like how do I get into the exercise of it? What are different opportunities to do so? So feel free to ask those questions too. Okay, so okay, great. So Anastasia, I got it. The gift cut out early. You have an urgent client call. Thank you so much for this great workshop. Thank you, Anastasia, for participating. Again, my invitation, why, how, what? Feel free to shoot me an email at eduardo@fearlesscommunicators.com. You continue to tweak the language of that. So please feel free to do that. Okay, so George, I'm a serial entrepreneur, investor, and project manager that believes kids should stay active all year long. We're committed to making our community a better place for kids. We offer comfortable space so kids can play affordable team sports. So what I'm going to invite you to do is switch it, okay? To start with, we're committed to making our community a better and safer place for kids. That I'm imagining that you're committed to creating a safe space for kids too. And what we offer is a comfortable space so kids can play affordable team sports. I'm a serial investor and manager that believes kids should stay active all year long. So that will be the last sentence. Okay, so try that out for yourself. So I invite you again to put your first